Hello everyone, I am Mrs. Marian from Leeds International School, Panadura. Hope you all are safe and doing great during this vacation. So, I'm doing this presentation to teach you the first English comprehension lesson for third term, and I want you to take the Nelson Comprehension book and a pencil to your hand and get ready for the lesson. Turn to page number 46 and we are going to do the first lesson of Unit 8, Into the Forest by J.R.R. Tolkien. The objective of this lesson is how settings create atmosphere. Let me explain you how we are going to do this lesson. First, you are going to read along with me. Then, you'll be underlining the difficult words while we are reading. After that, you'll be listening to the explanation which I'll be giving to you. And then you're going to write down the meanings of the difficult words. And finally, we are going to complete the activities. Okay, let's start. Into the Forest by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is an extract taken from a world-famous novel called Lord of the Rings. And I'm pretty sure that you must have watched this movie too. I have highlighted the difficult words and you can underline them while we are reading. Let's begin. Frodo, Merry and Pippin are hobbits. They are on a long and dangerous journey. They came to the beginning of a huge dark forest. There is no way around it. They have to go through it. Looking ahead, they could see only tree trunks of innumerable, say that word again with me, innumerable, sizes and shapes, straight or bent, twisted, leaning, squat or slender, smooth or gnarled, say that word, gnarled, and branched. All the stems were green or grey, with moss and slimy, shaggy growths. Now you can see that I have highlighted some words in yellow color, and these are the difficult words. And I'm going to explain you this bit of the story, and then you will understand the meanings of these difficult words. So first of all, let me start from the beginning. There are three people who are going into a forest. What are their names? Frodo, Merry, and Pippin. But they are not normal people. They are hobbits. Now, who are hobbits? In one word, we can say they are dwarves. Or in another word, we can say they are people who are shorter than us. You might have seen short people, right? So hobbits is a word we can use for dwarfs or short people. But a little more different than the short people. These people are having hairy feet and different shapes of ears, right? So those are hobbits. Now, where are they going? They are going into a dark, huge forest, right? And they are saying that this journey is very dangerous. Let's see why it's so dangerous. Now in the second part it says, looking ahead, they could see only tree trunks of innumerable sizes. What do you mean by innumerable? So many, a lot of. You can't even count, right? So that's the meaning of innumerable. Sizes and shapes. So when they entered this dark forest, the only thing they could see all around was large number of tree trunks, right? And they were in different sizes and shapes. Then it says straight or bent, twisted, leaning, right? Some trunks were straight, some were bent, some were twisted, some were leaning. And there's this word squat. Squat means short and thick. Then it says slender. Slender means thin. Then smooth or gnarled. Now that's a new word. Right? I'm sure you have not heard this word, gnarled. Say that again with me, gnarled. Gnarled means rough. Some tree trunks were smooth, some were rough, and some were branched. All the stems were green or grey with moss and slimy, shaggy growths. Now, moss means you might have seen on wet rocks or on huge tree trunks or maybe on roots. There are these green plants which are covering them. So that is called moss. They were slimy and shaggy. Some of they were hanging on the branches, right? So this part is explaining us how this dark forest looked like. Mary alone seemed fairly cheerful. "You had better lead on and find a path," Frodo said to him. "Don't let us lose one another." They picked a way among the trees and their ponies plodded along, carefully avoiding the many writhing and interlacing roots. Say those two words again with me. Writhing, interlacing. There was no undergrowth. The ground was rising steadily, and as they went forward, it seemed that the trees became taller, darker, and thicker. There was no sound except an occasional drip of moisture falling through the still leaves. For the moment, there was no whispering or movement among the branches, but they all got an uncomfortable feeling that they were being watched with disapproval. The feeling steadily grew until they found themselves looking up quickly or glancing back over their shoulders as if they expected a sudden blow. There was not as yet any sign of a path, and the trees seemed constantly to bar their way. Frodo began to wonder if it were possible to find a way through, and if he had been right to make others come into this abominable wood. Say the word again, abominable. Right now, what is happening? They have entered into a dark, huge forest. All the tree trunks looked so weird. The place was so strange. But one person was so cheerful. Who was it? Merry. Frodo is getting a bit angry with Merry and is telling, "You had better lead on and find a path. Without being so cheerful that we are inside a strange forest like this, you better try to find a path for us to get away from this forest." And he's telling, "Don't let us lose one another." Why do you think he's telling like that? Maybe because they know that they have come into a dangerous place. Right. Then what is happening? Have they come inside the forest alone? No. They have come with their ponies. And there is this yellow word which I have highlighted, which is a difficult word. The word is plodded. Plodding means walking very slowly. Why are they walking very slowly? Because they wanted to avoid the writhing and interlacing roots. Writhing means the twisted, interlacing means crossed with each other. So you can have an imagination that the forest is having full of twisted and crossed roots. So they should be really careful when they are walking, in case if they get stuck inside those roots, they will fall down from the ponies and then they will get injured. Then what is happening? They felt like the ground was rising steadily. And they felt like the more forward they went, that the trees are becoming taller, darker and thicker, as if they are some monsters. The place was very silent. It was a quiet place. There was no sound at all, except for one sound. The only one sound was an occasional drip of moisture. Moisture means wet, or like a drop of water, let's say. Right? So like a drop of water is falling from still leaves, the leaves that were not moving. A drop of water, occasionally, time to time, a drop of water was falling down from the leaves. At that time, even though there was no any sound of, not even a whisper, not even a movement of a branch, they all felt so uncomfortable. Maybe because they are inside a dark, huge, and a strange place. They felt like somebody is looking at them. They didn't see anybody, but they felt like that. Then they started to feel more scared until they found themselves looking up quickly or glancing. Glancing is also another word we can use for looking at something at once. And they were acting so strange. They were looking up, they were looking behind. They felt like somebody was looking at them. And they felt a sudden blow on their shoulders. It can be a wind, or maybe somebody blowed on their shoulders. We don't know about it. There was not as yet any sign of a path. Now, in between all these scenarios, they were trying their best to find a path to get out of this place. But the more they tried to move forward, the more the trees and their branches tried to block their way. It says, and the trees seemed constantly means continuously, to bar their way. Bar means to block their way. Like the trees are having, like the trees are like humans. They are trying to block. Frodo began to wonder if it were possible to find a way through, and if he had been right to make others come into this abominable wood. Abominable means very bad or terrible. So while they were moving forward like this, Frodo began to think if they would be able to find a path to go out of this forest. And at the same time, he was thinking, did I do something bad by making a decision to bring my friends into this forest? So then there we can understand that it was Frodo's idea to come into this forest. Okay, now we have completed our lesson. Let's write down the meanings of the difficult words. While I was explaining you also, I have given you the meanings of these words. Now I want you to take your writing copy and write down these words along with their meanings. Let me read the words for you. Hobbits, a small, short human with hairy feet. Innumerable, too many to be counted or a lot of. Scot, short and thick. Slender, very thin. Gnarled, rough and twisted. Now this is a new word for you. How do we pronounce it? Gnarled. That G is a silent letter. Moss, a small plant which grows on wet rocks, roots and trunks like a carpet. Shaggy, long, thick fur. Plodded, walking slowly. Writhing, twisted. Interlacing, crossed. Moisture, wet or drops of water. Disapproval, without an approval. Glancing, looking at something. Constantly, continuously. Bar, blocking. Abominable, terrible or very bad. As we have come to the end of our lesson, we are going to move on to the activities in page number 47. Let's read the first question. Understanding the text. Read the question with me. What are the names of the 3 hobbits? What are the names? Frodo, Merry, and Pippin. Don't forget to write the first letter of each name with a capital letter. Second question. How were the hobbits traveling? Did they go by a car? Or did they ride horses? How did they go? They traveled on their ponies. Correct. Third question. What was the only sound in the forest? I told you that the forest was very quiet. There was no sound at all except for one sound. What was that sound? The sound was a drop of water falling through the still leaves occasionally. Good job. Fourth question. What was there no sign of? They couldn't find even a sign of something. What was it? There was no sign of a path. Good job. Last question. What did Frodo begin to think? He thought of two things. First, he thought if it would be possible to find a way through. And then he thought if he had been right to bring others into the terrible forest. Let's move to the sixth question. Explain the meanings of the words given. Now, you can do this activity alone because I have already given you the meanings of all the difficult words in the story. Move to the seventh question. Find a word in the story that means the same as these. Read the first one. Keeping away from. Now what you're going to do is read this phrase and go to your story and try to find a similar word which gives the same meaning as this phrase. Your first phrase is keeping away from. Which word gives the same meaning from your story? Try to find it. Yes, the word avoid. Avoid means keeping away from. Let's move to the second one. Going up. We have a word called rising, which gives the same meaning as going up. Let's move to the last part of it. Taking a quick look. When I gave you the meanings, I told you. Glance. Glance means taking a quick look. Let's move to the eighth question. Find adverbs in the story that tells. Now you're going to find the adverbs from the story. First tell me what is an adverb. We have done this before. Adverb are the verbs that are describing a verb, how something happened. Let's read the first one. How the ponies plodded. How did the ponies plod? Carefully. Carefully is the adverb. Second one. How the uncomfortable feeling grew. Steadily. Good job. How they looked up. How did they look up? Quickly. Last one. How the trees seemed to bar their way. How did the trees blocked their way? Constantly or continuously. The trees continuously or constantly blocked their way. So these are the adverbs. And you can find the answers for questions from 9 to 14 by exploring the story. So we have come to the end of our activities in page number 47 as well. Okay children, as we have come to the end of our lesson, and since we have completed our activities as well, I need to remind you the objective of this lesson. What was the purpose of learning this lesson? The purpose was to teach you how the setting is creating the atmosphere. Let me explain it a bit to you. Now you know the setting is the physical location of a story. So what was the location of this story, Into the Forest? What was the location? It was about a forest. The setting can heavily inform the mood of a story. Now, for example, if I tell you, if we are talking about a bright, sunny day, is it having a happy mood or a sad mood? It has a happy mood. If I'm talking about a dark, haunted house, what is the mood of that location? Yes, we are getting excited, we are getting nervous. So, the setting of our lesson is a dark, huge forest. What was the sense you got from this setting? We got a sense of tension and fear. We got nervous, we got excited just as the hobbits. So that is the objective, how the setting is creating the atmosphere. I have attached a YouTube link for you to get some more details about what a setting is. And as you can see in this picture, you can feel the sense of tension and fear according to the setting, because the setting of our lesson is a dark, huge forest. I hope you all enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you all understood the full lesson. I will see you soon again with another presentation. Until that, take care of yourselves.